Friday, 15th of May. It's our 44th sniblet that we're bringing to you. Here's our tweet for the day. Mom says, my 3-year-old doesn't notice that their pants are on inside out and that their shoes are on the wrong feet. But at the same time, my 3-year-old notices a diced onion in their food from across the room. Isn't that true? It's like, what is that? That's an onion. We would just sail our kids when they were growing up. When there was some unidentifiable piece of food, what's that? We would just say something like, it's chicken. Oh, I love chicken. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that true? 3-year-old? Clothes are on backwards, and yet they noticed a diced onion from across the room. Here's the question. Parents, again, take your kids into your past. What was your favorite music growing up? What did you listen to growing up? Bring them into your world. That's fun. They want to know. All right. Push the pause button if you need to. Discuss that. Lessons from the life of Joseph. Such a great story. Where we left off, 20 years has softened the brothers. They've now returned to Egypt for their second load of grain. They brought the best that they've got to give, the best that their land offers, and plus they brought top dollar for the grain. But most importantly, they come with a sacrificial attitude. And God is using these circumstances to get them from their selfishness to selflessness. They're at the mercy of Joseph. This is also a test for Joseph. How will he treat those that now sold him over 20 years ago? It's a test for Joseph as well. So we're at chapter 43, verses 16 through 34. Read chapter 43, verses 16 through 34. Push the pause button, and then we'll do some diagnostics. Joseph prepares a feast for his brothers. They're fearful that the money for their first load of grain that had been returned to them would be used against them. But Joseph's steward, this is an interesting kind of side story that goes on. Joseph's steward assured them that God has orchestrated all of this. Wait a minute, the brothers are now being trained by this steward of Joseph's. It's an interesting window into Joseph's influence. Where did this Egyptian steward get this, that God was orchestrating this? Well, obviously, this steward had been mentored by Joseph. It's an interesting window. And then Simeon and the brothers are reunited. They're brought into Joseph's home. They're allowed to wash. Their donkeys are taken care of and fed. And then Joseph arrives. He walks into, and I'm sure it's a pretty impressive home. It might have been part of the palace, an extension built onto part of the palace. And they bowed down to him. This is the second time the brothers have bowed down to him. You remember the dream from chapter 37, when they were all under the same household back in the homeland, and Joseph said, hey, you guys are going to bow down to me. And they've done it willingly now twice. Then he asked the question, he says, is your father okay? What an interesting question for this Egyptian lord to care about these men's father. And then they shared with him, yeah, he's okay. And then they bowed down a third time. Then he sees Benjamin. Emotions just take him over. This is the brother that they shared a mom together, that Rachel was their mom. And so this is his brother Benjamin. And he asked the question, he knows the answer, is this your brother that's the youngest one? And they respond, yeah, he is. And then he makes a statement. He says, may God be gracious to you. It's got to be a question mark in the brother's mind. How is this Egyptian? Egyptians don't follow the Lord. And this Egyptian seems to be following the Lord. Then Joseph, overwhelmed, he rushes out of their presence for the purpose of weeping. Tears are a great window to our soul, to reveal to us what's really important. He gets it together, wipes the tears away, brings them back, and then he serves them a meal. Now, Egyptians can't sit at the same table as Hebrews for some Egyptian rule. So Joseph is sitting at a table, and the brothers are sitting at a table. Then, let me read verse 34. You read it together as a family. And so Joseph, he took portions to them from his own table. But Benjamin's portion was 5 times as much as any of theirs. So they feasted and drank freely with him. Isn't it interesting that Joseph serves them? Maybe a servant was doing the pouring, but it comes from Joseph's table, and he serves them. And Joseph took portions, and he gave Benjamin 5 times as much as he gave everyone else. Everybody else had a full plateful. But it's like Joseph's, Benjamin, the brothers, got like this plate that's just piled high. Such a picture of grace. You know, Joseph is a story, he's a type of Jesus in the story, a provider, a redeemer, one who saves the masses. I think in the story, if you were to parallel, who are we in the story? I think you could build an argument for we're like Benjamin. We're recipients of undeserved grace. But I think really we probably more resemble the brothers because we're watching someone else receive an advantage that we don't have. It's the prodigal son, where the older brother saw the younger brother get an advantage that he didn't have, and will the brothers be jealous of Benjamin's advantage like they were jealous of Joseph's advantage? You know, it's very healthy to identify who we most closely resemble in the example. We are the brothers, prone to wander, susceptible to jealousy, in desperate need of forgiveness. You know, when we accurately diagnose who we are, I think it forces our hand to be less critical of others. When we are critical of others, it's because we think too highly of ourselves. When we accurately diagnose who we are, I think it causes us to be less critical of others. So, as you gather as a family, as a married couple, wrestle with the question, who are you in the story? Who would you like to be in the story? Who do you want to be? But who, most of the time, do we more accurately represent in the story? It causes us then to diagnose ourselves in a healthy way. And then it causes us to be maybe less critical of others. Have a great Friday. Can't wait to be with you on Sunday. And so have a great weekend.